risen from the dust, and you walk in my garden. Hear now my voice, and know that I am your maker, and I am called Elohim. Seek me in my temple, if you are worthy.
So, as you can see, the game has these mechanical objects in it, which you can interact with. And when you interact with objects, such as these purple gates that you go through, there's one over there, we'll go to it shortly, or by picking up things like this jammer, a little piece of code will flash across the top left-hand corner of the game user interface, which is, since it's the default perspective is this first-person perspective, it's also sort of implied to be like the top left-hand corner of your field of vision. Sort of a constant reminder that you are a sort of mechanical figure. So here's what you do with the jammer area. Here's an exit, another code section. These guys will hurt you. As you can see, the enemies in this game are also technological, which is interesting. I will show you what a death animation looks like now. It says correcting for errors. The death animation is very similar to something that the game allows you to do, which is reset yourself by holding X. So that's very interesting because it shows one very significant way in which death for an android like this android that you're playing, as you could see from the wrists and hands, is something that can be like actively chosen as well as happen to you, and something that has less permanent consequences than, say, death in a biological body. Although there are more permanent types of death in this game that appear later on in the endings. Here is the library archive with its assistant AI, Milton, that you can talk to, and this is how you get like access to lore in this game. You can read a few of these text files that have been saved. There are quite a few of them in the game, and we'll be sure to include a link to, there's like a fandom wiki for this game that has all of these text files saved in a more convenient format, so if you're ever curious about reading the text files that made it into this archive, but you don't want to spend money on this game, that's a way that you can do that. Or if you're just not a gamer and you don't really want to play this whole game, that's a fair and valid way to feel. Although it is a very fun game and I do recommend it. Glowing light, we're gonna go there, because that's how we get to Elohim, sort of.
Step into the light, child, and my temple will be revealed to you.
And I think it's pretty revealing that the light is made up of binary code.
You walk now upon the stones of my temple, whence many gates lead. And know that I have other temples, for my garden is greater than your eye can encompass. And all these worlds I made for you.
These are different interactable elements, kind of like the jammer from the first level, that you can unlock by solving puzzles and then use to solve later on puzzles. We just came from World 1. As you can see, there are 4 more of these sigils to find there. There are a whole lot of worlds. And this is just one section of the game. It's only one part of a much larger place. As you can see, it's called World A. There's also World B and C, which you can get to through here. It's a pretty expensive universe. The world that you're sort of placed in here has a lot of elements of like ruin and destruction that sort of evoke the post-apocalyptic, between this sort of wrecked Greco-Roman architecture and these headless statues that are everywhere. It sort of gives you this feeling of destruction, and the world that you're in is expansive. In the other two worlds in this game, worlds B and C, instead of being Greco-Roman architecture, it's like ancient Egyptian-inspired architecture in one, and sort of like snow-covered wooden fortresses in another. Sort of like a more medieval European vibe. It's interesting because it kind of gives you like a few different pictures of what ruins could look like. And as you can see, the different parts of World A are depicted as islands on this like endless ocean. It really does give you a feeling of being alone and being tasked with solving possibly pointless logic puzzles, but at the same time, the music and the serenity of the setting gives you a sort of feeling that it can be meditative to think about yourself and your place in the universe, especially a universe that's been more or less destroyed, as you find out later in the game. There's also like interesting extra puzzles you can solve by like breaking the rules a little bit. There are a lot of Easter eggs in this world. It's very pretty, which is pretty haunting, honestly, when you get to learn about the story behind this world, which is a very depressing story about a pandemic. My partner and I first played this game through during the original quarantine period last spring, and that was horrifying. Here is one of the coolest mechanics in the game. A recording of yourself and what you've been doing and where you've been going. There's a way, there's like an upgrade you get that is a recording camera that lets you actually like play with that and use it to interact with interactable elements in the world, so you can have one of you do something while another of you does something else at the same time. It's a pretty cool mechanic that I'm probably not going to have time to actually exemplify, but it's a cool mechanic nonetheless. You can actually use the technological enemies that you face to outsmart each other. Like, I'm not sure if I should really describe them as enemies rather than puzzle aspects, but the puzzle aspects that can damage you, like this security camera thingy and the round floaty boy behind that blue thing, you can actually use them to damage each other and interact with each other, which is a pretty cool mechanic. Oh, yeah, there they go. They blew each other up. Is that how you solve this puzzle? That is how you solve this puzzle, by getting them to blow each other up. And those kinds of interactions get more complicated as you unlock more and more mechanics and get farther in the game.